Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bravo Tea with the Stay at Home Mom. I'm Erica, and I'm ready to talk all things Bravo. Welcome back, everybody. And on this episode, we are going to be recapping The Valley. We closed out the season, their first season. Everyone made it out barely alive, I feel like. We are doing okay, but we are not getting a reunion. I am so disappointed. I know this is probably the 100th time I've said it, but I'm not the only one that's thinking this. Every time I go on Instagram, everyone else is like, this is an emergency, like SOS to Bravo. We need a reunion, even if it's just in the clubhouse, even if it's just through Zoom at this point. Dear God, we got two two marriages on the rocks, one officially on the divorce, one still on the separation, and then we got a lot of bad dynamics with the friends. Um I just have to say before we go into the whole thing, I saw like the extra scenes that they left out, and I was really disappointed that they left out Kristen talking about her miscarriage because that's something that's been a topic of Kristen wanting to get pregnant and have a baby the whole season. And then they're going to like do her dirty like that and leave out a very emotional part that I feel like could have resonated with other people watching that have gone through that journey. Like I know Sheena had a miscarriage as well, and I think they did show that on Vanderpump Rules. So I'm kind of disappointed. Like if you have Peacock, you can see that, but if you don't, I'm just sad they didn't leave it in the regular aired show that was on Bravo, of her talking about that, because I feel like sometimes we only see like the negative side of Kristen being crazy Kristen, and that's just like a soft side of her and an emotional thing that her and Luke went through that I was just sad that they didn't leave in. But also before we dive into the recap, I have to say, last night, I guess when I was asleep, Mr. Jax Taylor was up on Twitter. So this morning I saw it and I had to make a post right away about it. He said, you may want to ask Brittany who she's been sleeping with for the past 4 months, and a couple dots, couple periods after that. I don't know what he's talking about, but she did say on a podcast that she went on that while they're separated, they technically are allowed to see other people, but that's obviously not the point of being separated. She wanted the separation so that they could take time apart and heal and perhaps fix things, come back together. So I would be shocked and blown away that if Brittany has been sleeping with someone, but also she officially moved out in January. So if we're talking about the past 4 months, I mean, maybe in the first couple months you weren't making any changes. She's just like, all right, bye-bye. But I don't know. If I had to bet money on it, I would say Jax had sex with someone before Brittany did, but also she was begging for sex with Jax and he wasn't giving it to her. So while they're separated, I guess she's inviting men over to that Airbnb. I don't know. We'll touch more on that at the very end, but let's just dive into the recap. So we get Jax and Brittany getting ready for the bar opening, and he just keeps saying, like, you just don't know how stressed I am. It's like, dude, first of all, you're the one that's like, oh, I have to do this bar with my wife, like making it like you and her involved. And he also just stupidly said, you don't know how stressed I am. I have a podcast. I have a kid. I have a bar. Like he's looking at Brittany and saying that. It's like, last time I checked, you both have the podcast, and Brittany's been carrying the torch on that lately because you suck anyway on it. You both have a kid, and as I recall, she carried the child in her body and got violently ill for 8 months and had morning sickness with the baby. And last but not least, you're both opening this bar, and it looks like Brittany's doing more work than you in the bar. You're just walking around saying, I'm just so stressed out. I mean, that guy needs like a Xanax or a therapist or something. I mean, that's why they're on a break, because he is a narcissist. And she does say that on the extra scene that they left out. She says that to Kristen and Zach, like, he's just a narcissist. And it's like everything's just always about him while she's literally standing there in the bar they're supposed to be doing together, doing more work than him. But it's always like, poor me, poor me. Oh, he's just annoying. That's why I said if I had to pick between Jax and Jesse, I'd be picking Jesse because at least he's crying over Michelle. I mean, perhaps we're, not seeing everything that he's doing, but at least he acts nice on camera. Jax is mean on camera and probably meaner off camera. So that's why I was like, well, at least I picked Jesse. And then we get to Jesse and Michelle, and they're just talking about real estate and business, and they're on their phones, and he's noticing as her hand is on her phone, he's like, "Are you wearing your ring?" She's like, "Oh no, I like rushed out of the house this morning and forgot it." It's like before they even formally got separated, that girl was separated in her brain. I mean, she's just like so nonchalantly like, "Yeah, I'm not wearing my ring. I don't care." And that's why I kind of feel bad for him because he at least was trying. I mean, I think it was just too little too late for him. That's why. So we're only seeing the part of him trying. We didn't maybe see the part of him being a jerk and Michelle trying and being sad. So we're just seeing Michelle checked out and him being sad. But then Nia and Danny go out to dinner at this cute little restaurant. She had like a cute corner little booth, and like behind them was like a nice little view of the water, and he was picking up a nice slice of prosciutto. I was like, that could be on the Real Housewives of New Jersey. I'll tell you right now, one of their spreads at their party. And she had like this cute little drink in this like hanging glass that was on. It looked very just cute. But they were just lightly talking about the house that Jesse showed them that's like 2 hours away from civilization and friends. But it was a big house, so and a big backyard. So I do understand why he wants to move there, but it's just kind of like, all right, do you want like a big house in the middle of you don't know anyone, like, in I can't say the middle of nowhere because other people live there, it's just strangers to them, so it's like, do you want a bigger house away from everyone or a smaller house and at least you have all your friends here and sanity? And I'm gonna tell you right now, Danny, if you move all the way out there, you're not gonna be on this show anymore, so they can't say that on camera, but I'm sure Nia's like, hello, we just got on this show and we're committed to season 2, we can't move 2 hours away, you think the cameras are coming 2 hours away? Like, no. Like I said, it's not 2 hours away, but with the traffic out there, it's gonna take 2 hours for anyone to come to them, so guess what? No one's coming. Like, Jack says he can't even drive to, like, I don't know where, like, down the street, like Malibu. Like, remember when he was like, "Oh my god, I'm not doing that beach day on Vanderpump Rules." He's, like, rage texting Max, and he's like, "You're so stupid for having it at the beach. It's, like, an hour away. I'm not driving an hour away." So you think he's gonna drive almost 2 hours away to see you guys? Mm-mm. Nope. Lala said she can't even drive to West Hollywood to get a damn sandwich. It's something about her. She's like, "It's just so far away." I'm like, "Actually, it's not at all from the valley, but you go ahead and keep telling yourself that, girl." But then Jasmine and Zach meet up to do pottery, and they're gonna have a full scene out of the Ghost movie, Demi Moore. And they're just talking about, like, how Zach, obviously was doing a petty joke on Janet with the Big Bear thing. Like, I guess she thinks he's gonna come, it's like a 1990s slasher movie, he's gonna come murder them all on the baby moon, but it's like, it's just being petty, and you know what? Girls are petty, but the gays are even more petty, I feel like. So, Janet should know that because she's like has like a little tribe of gay male friends around her later at the bar opening, so she should know that they would definitely do that too. The guy in those pink boots definitely would be doing petty stuff like this to her or anyone else that they're mad at. But also I noticed when Jasmine and Zach were doing the pottery, Jasmine's looked okay, Zach's looked like perfect. Like, I was like, do you come to this pottery place a lot? Looked really nice too. Yeah, he must come there a lot and do scenes from Ghosts, like, with his friends and stuff. But then we see that, Brittany and Jack setting up the bar again. So this is the day before the opening. And I mean, it looks pretty much ready to go. You know how like they have to be dramatic, I feel like, and they're like, "Oh my God, like I don't think we're gonna be ready." And like the partner, like the guy inside is like to Jax, he's like, "I don't think we're gonna make it. I don't think it's gonna be open." And then like I feel like they do this all the time though. When you watch those like home remodeling shows, they'll say, quote unquote, it's like hours before the showing, and it's like they're literally putting tile down in the floor in the bathroom, and they're like, "I don't think we're gonna make it." And then it's like magically all of a sudden it's like looks totally perfect and staged with furniture for the showing. It's like I think they do all of that for dramatic effect. And honestly, they had the whole rest of this day. And then if you have to, the opening is until nighttime the next day. You go in the next day, which I'm sure they did. But it's like also they're having staff come in at that point. So like you have your bar backs, like cut the limes, like get the glassware ready. Like they're not doing that. So just dramatic effect, I feel, for the show. And Jax is just acting so stressed that it's all about him. And Brittany's like, I guess you regret being mean to me, Jax, because I had your sister fly in for a surprise. So even the sister's there doing work. And then they show a flashback of like a couple days prior. And Brittany's like, "Sorry, I had to leave, y'all. I had to go get something." And then Jax's sister walks in behind her. And he's like, "Oh my God." Like, just can't believe it. Like, that's what I feel like is so crazy about Jax. So it's like he obviously is just totally taking Brittany for granted because all she really was asking all season is like, "I want to go out on a date with you." It's like, oh, how mean of her. And then it's like, "I wanna have sex with you." Again, "Oh, how mean of her." And then she's just like, "Can you just be nice to me, Jax? I just need you to talk nicer to me, especially in front of my friends." He can't even do those 3 things, and, like, those are things that you should just do without anyone even asking you or telling you to do. It's just, like, common sense, like, why don't you wanna take your wife out for dinner, let alone you act like you don't have any time? Why don't you wanna have sex with your wife? And then, like, why aren't you being nice to her? She's so nice. Like, even when you're being a jerk off, she's thinking about you being like, "Oh, let me fly Jax's sister in here for our bar opening." It's like, I didn't see Meemaw and Sherry there. So maybe they had something to do in Kentucky. But if she didn't do that with Jax's sister, they would have had no family at the bar opening because Jax still doesn't talk to his mom, which is interesting. I always wonder if the sister talks to the mom because I feel like that was like all went down when the dad died. They had like resentment and stuff. And he says that like the mom didn't even really like alert them that the dad was sick. So a lot of pent up anger. But that's what I mean. Jax needs a damn therapist, which we'll talk about that later when we get to that part. But Brittany then is just having to sit down and telling him, like, "We really need to fix things if we want another child." And she's like, "I'm kind of glad we didn't try this month because we just need to get back to how things are. So I do understand that talk that we had on our big date night that turned into like a shit show at that hotel and them arguing because he's like, I don't want to have another baby." And she's like, "What? Jax?" But I mean, now when you look back on it, like obviously it's nice and a blessing that they have crews. But thank God they didn't try for another baby because I think one of two things, she'd be like pregnant right now alone in that Airbnb, or she would have stayed in the toxic relationship because she was pregnant and they were having a second child. And then once the second child gets here, whew, I think it's stressful with one, it's like worse with two. And then they definitely would have just got separated. So then they would have been sharing two kids. I think it would have been the second one. I think she would have stayed because she was pregnant, put up with more crap, tried a little, and then be like, definitely not, I'm peacing out. And then you'd have two kids to share and take care of all on your own. Like it's going to be hard for them, you know, to have crews by themselves single as it is. But then when you would have two, that'd be a lot with like not a spouse with you staying together. It's just like Jesse and Michelle. So I think that is a blessing that they didn't try. And Jax was probably like, I don't think Jax ever thought it was over because I think he's just like, no, it was just, this is just life. Like he was the Lindsay and Brittany's the Carl in the situation. Like Brittany's like, nope, put my foot down. I got to leave. Like Carl's like, I got to break up with you, Lindsay. And Jax and Lindsay were just willing to stay in this toxic, it's not working relationship just so they don't break up the relationship, which is just always very stupid and selfish of people, especially when there's a child involved. But then we get Luke and Kristen getting ready for the opening party. And she's just like, I have some choice words for Michelle. I used the wrong wording when we had that dinner. And then they do the flashbacks of her saying, like, "You've been cheating on Jesse for a whole year." And she's like, "I didn't mean to say that. What I actually meant to say was that a year ago, Michelle had a boyfriend." And I'm like, "All right, both things are still bad that you're saying." It's still alluding that she's cheating on her husband, whether it's for a whole entire year or was a year ago. Like, you saying a married woman has a secret boyfriend is not very nice. But she's like, "But there I go again." I'm like twisting my words, and it's like, yeah, well, those are big mix-ups. Like, I don't know. And I feel like Luke admitted that to Jax in an episode. He's like, "I know Kristen can like make stuff up or whatever." And then he like had to have that awkward conversation with Kristen and confront her and be like, "Why do you just like make shit up and say it?" And then gets us in trouble. But then we get to the soft opening of the bar, and Schwartzy makes a little appearance, and I was shocked he didn't bring a plant. Instead, he brought Fireball because he said that was Jax's favorite. But then I was like, or Jax's dad's favorite. But then I was like, all right, you're bringing like a bottle of liquor into a bar that sells liquor, which was weird. But like, he's the one that's bringing plants to everyone on Vanderpump Rules. And Brittany did a whole succulent wall, which turned out amazing because, like, that was like part of the panicking. They're like, "Oh my God, we're not going to get anything done and it's not going to be open." It's like, all you have to do is put all these pots in this wall. And it's like, you have a day and a half. We know you'll get it done. And, or you will last minute call like TaskRabbit and somebody will come help you. Or like friends. I mean, they have friends that like, they would have called. Um, and come help them, especially, like, I bet Schwartzy would have been like, "Oh, I love plants. I'll come and hang them and water them and talk to them whenever you need." That's why I was just shocked he didn't bring, like, a little plant for them for the soft opening. But he was the only, person we saw from Vanderpump. I'm wondering if other people were there and they just didn't care to focus or show them. But if no one else was there and they were, like, in the vicinity of where they were and they weren't like elsewhere or out of state, that would be really strange to me. Like, I feel like no one is supporting anyone. Like I said, Schwartz is the only one that came to something about her so far. And it's like, that is so rude. If anything, Sandoval needs to like Venmo them money or something as a just, I know you don't want my presence there, but take my money for support. I don't know. I just think it's shows that Lala and Sheena are so jealous of them that they can't even go support them and get a sandwich. Thought it was weird James and Allie weren't there either. I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm just saying I thought it was weird not seeing any of the Vanderpump people supporting Jax and Brittany, especially like, let's say you don't want to support Jax, supporting Brittany, because everyone is saying all night, like, why is this called Jax's Studio City? Like, Brittany did all the work. Brittany is just as important, which, like, now that I'm thinking about it, if it is both of them, like, we got Tom Tom called Tom Tom because it's both the Toms and Schwartz and Sandy's. So it's like, why aren't we calling this like Jax and Brits? Like, I get if you don't want to say Brittany because it's like too long or something, but Jax and Brits Studio City. Like, I think we can add two more words to the title. And by the way, did anyone notice that there still was not like a formal sign? It's like that printout that you could order at Staples, like that you would just hang up at like a graduation party. Like, congratulations, blah, blah. You just graduated high school. Like, if that's like the permanent sign that's always going to be there, that's pretty bad. And I just thought if they are going to get a sign, like, why wouldn't you get it in time for the soft opening? And if that sign is still hanging up like that, that means to me it's because they don't want to put permanent fixtures on this existing place because it's supposed to be what I have heard. It's like a pop up within another existing bar that's called Rocco's Studio City. So maybe it's like by next year, this Jax's Studio City won't even exist. I don't know if it's like year to year. I don't know. But it's like, if it's going to be there for this long, can we put a more permanent sign so it looks better? But yeah, everyone is like going around, I feel like, and they're going to have their chit chats, and the place isn't that big. So if you're getting mad at somebody, which people are, they can't go very far from these people. And Jasmine sits down with Janet to talk about the whole Zach thing. And Zach has been having a couple shots and he's crashing the talk. He's ready to get in there because he is fired up with Janet, I feel like. So then Janet brings up the phone conversation that she had on speakerphone in front of Simon and Jared Lips. Simon is the pink booted man that was like being shady and basically like video recording Zach at Kristen's little pop up and like texting it to Janet because she wasn't invited. I feel like Janet really is like a Regina George. Like I'm starting to see it. And like those two are like her minions. And she just sends them around. Like one is Karen Smith and one is Gretchen Wieners. And they're doing her dirty work while she's sitting up in the Ivy Tower making like all the shots, calling all the shots. But then she tries to act like with Zach, if you wouldn't have gotten like snippy with me, I was going to invite you to the baby moon. No, you damn well were not, because you had Jax actually uninvite him from the baby moon a week prior. And that's what I mean about like, you're like Regina George, let minions do your work. You're even recruiting Jax as a minion. And then Zach was like, "Well, you shouldn't have me on speakerphone. That is textbook mean girl." And she's like, "It was just Simon." And he's like, "They thought you were being crazy too." And he's like, "I don't care about crock of shit boots," like what he thinks. And then I was like, "Oh my God." And then he tells Janet, "Get the F out of here." And then Jason comes over to save the day. And he's like, "Don't you ever talk to my wife like that." Now, I feel Janet is mean girl, but the only thing that I can agree with is everyone should be a little nicer to her. She is 8 months pregnant, so stress could, you know, harm her and the baby. But it's like, if you don't want to be stressed, then don't cause this drama. And Zach is just saying, like, it's totally ridiculous. You didn't invite me to the baby moon. And if you're that upset of me just posting my location as a big girl, it's like, get over it. Like, you're petty too, and you're doing catty things. So, like, don't be mad at me for doing catty stuff back. And then Janet gets up and goes literally to the next table with the minions, Simon, aka Crock of Shit Boots, and Jared Lips. And then Zach is like, "She is the Queen of England because she's dead to me." And then Brittany's like, "I just wanted y'all to get along at my bar opening. You know, I spent a long time hanging up all these succulents on the wall the other day, and Jax was just polishing something outside for like 5 hours acting like he was doing something. Thank God I flew in his sister and she helped me because Jax is just no help, but he's the one that's the most stressed." And I don't know why Brittany thought there wouldn't be chaos at this, because this is like the season finale party that is always goes out with a bang. Everyone always fights at these events. Everyone's riled up from the whole season, and this is their like time to lock in a season 2 with the drama. And if we didn't have Jax and Brittany separating and Jesse and Michelle, because that was basically the whole other half of the show, not even other half, it was like basically the whole show. I don't know what would have been the ending of the show. I don't know if we would have seen more of this party. I have no clue. Or if we would have done more crap at the beginning. I have no idea. But it's like they're thinking this is it. And I bet they did actually leave out a lot of stuff, because this was probably supposed to be the ending. And then when they separated, they picked cameras back up to catch that on camera. But did like that Jason swooped in and he's like, "Don't talk to my wife like that." But Brittany was like, "I mean, Zach, you got to be nice to her because she's 8 months pregnant." And then he's like, "I don't care that she's pregnant." So what I've been reading and seeing is that Janet equated that to, "You want my baby to die and me have a miscarriage." He literally never said that. He just like doesn't really care. It's not that he doesn't care that you're pregnant. He doesn't care about you using your pregnancy as like a weapon of defense, that you can't have conversations with like he can't have conversations with you or argue with you because you're pregnant. It's just like Lala. I was getting so freaking tired of her during their union being like, "I'm having another child and how dare you come after my livelihood? I'm a mother. You're not, Katie. I'm a mother. I support a child. I'm a single mother." It's like, first of all, it's not our fault Randall's a douchebag and that you're a single mother. I think that's a little bit of your fault. And stop weaponizing you being a mother. I'm a mother of two, but I would never weaponize that with my friends that don't have kids and act like my life or our like bank account is more important than theirs. So I'm kind of tired of all these people crying wolf that they're pregnant or that they have children. And I'm not saying it to be mean. And of course, I would never want anything to happen to Janet and her baby that she's still brewing in her belly. But it's like, this is a dramatic show. You're on Bravo, not Hallmark. Like, you're gonna have conflict, so be ready for it, and if you're not ready for it, don't come to this event or don't cause the conflict. Like, you uninviting Zach from the baby moon, you knew that was gonna cause conflict, so maybe don't do that, and I feel like it was an unjust to not have him there because poor Jasmine was left, like, the only single person there, and I think having Zach there would have been nice, and they would have had each other, and he would have been funny. Like, I was upset that we missed a couple episodes with him because he's funny. And how is that fair? Because I think they're paid per episode. How is that fair that you're uninviting him and Kristen? So like the whole last episode, we didn't see them at all. So you're just like skimming them of their pay. And the other episode, we only saw them for like 2 minutes doing their shit talking spa day in Kristen's apartment with their little foot baths that she probably bought on Amazon that day. And that was like annoying that you want uninvited them. And it's like, since when are you an executive producer? I don't think you have the authority to uninvite them from shit and keep them off our screens. But then we got another whole conversation that's going to be stressful. Kristen tries to goes up to talk to Michelle because the producers are probably like, make this happen, but it's going nowhere. And Michelle is like so calm that I would love to see her kind of like freak out and explode one time. Like, she kind of has gotten a little riled up, but not like crazy Kristen level riled up. But she's just like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be your friend. Bye-bye. I thought that was funny. And then Kristen's like, all right, I'm just gonna walk away. I agree. Bye-bye. And then because I feel like Kristen's like, I can't rock the boat too much because like Janet doesn't like me, Michelle doesn't like me. Like, I have just clasped on and gotten back onto Bravo and gotten my footing back. Like, I can't get eliminated. I need to get along with these people. So I don't know what'll happen next season. I feel like there's so much divide in this and Vanderpump that it's going to be very interesting what is going to happen. But Jasmine is going up and asking Jax to go up to Janet to clarify the whole, like, don't kill the messenger to uninvite Zach from Big Bear because Jasmine's like, this is turning into a shit show and Zach is upset. Janet's over there in the corner with her two minions, like saying, I didn't do anything wrong. And then Janet is saying, I never made Jax do that. I never did that, and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, please go up and clarify this because this is like turning and spinning on Zach and it's not right. And Jasmine's getting very emotional. She's getting a little cryy, upset. I think it's just because she's like, I'm friends with Janet. I'm friends with Zach. Like, no one wants to pick sides. It's too early on this show for people to like definitively pick sides. And it's bad enough we're getting divorce on the show from two couples. Like, friends don't want to pick sides. Cause, like, example, what's Brittany gonna do? She's really good friends with Janet. They live like very close to each other houses. Now she has a baby, so they're gonna have babies. And Zach is her like BFF from Kentucky. She can't ditch him. He's like, she knew him before Janet. So it's like, I don't know. It's just like Jasmine is trying to come over, get Jax to solve things, but Jax is probably not the best option for us to solve conflict. So then when Jax is over there talking to Janet about the whole situation, she just keeps saying, I'm pregnant. I don't want anyone to upset me. I just don't want to talk. I'm going to walk away, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I mean. That's like kind of annoying. It's like you are just using that as an excuse, in my opinion, because you don't want to take any accountability of being a little mean or like saying, you know what, Zach, I understand. I didn't like that you posted that, but I understand it's kind of because I uninvited you. Like, she is not taking accountability. Um, I feel like people are really coming after Janet though, and they like don't want her on the show. It's like, no, we need people like this on the show that are choosing to sacrifice themselves as like the kind of bitchy one because we do like to watch that, I will say. But it's like, yes, of course, like in real life, we don't want someone to treat us like that, but it makes for good TV, I'll tell you that. And you can't use it as an excuse next year, being like, oh, I'm pregnant, I gotta walk away. So we'll see how all this works out next year when she tries to use any excuse. But Jax and Brittany are actually getting along at the party. And then he's like, oh my God, I have to do like a speech. Don't drink too much because you have to stand next to me. It's like, oh my God, Dad, shut up. It's like, make sure you don't drink too much. It's like, dear God, I got to sidetrack real quick too, because when I was listening to Sheena's podcast the other week, I had played a clip from it. her talking about that, big titty girl that Jax was walking around with. She also said later in the podcast that since Brittany moved out, all of her vomiting and whatnot and the stomach issues, gone. Gone. Now, of course, if she gets, like, blacked out drunk, she's probably gonna vomit the next day of a hangover. But on that trip in Big Bear, she was getting sick because of stress and because of Jax, not because of drinking, because she wasn't even drunk. Like, he kept saying, like, "How drunk are you right now?" It's like, she's, like, dead sober, like, literally not drunk at all, because it's, like, obvious when people are drunk, and especially, like, you would know when your spouse is drunk. I'm not even married or know these people personally, and I know when they are and are not drunk on these shows because we've just seen them sober and drunk enough to know what they are. So that was just annoying, just a little pickup that I was like, "Oh my god, just shut up." And it's like, "Why are you doing the speech? You suck at talking anyway." And at least he didn't stand up there and take all the credit, because then I was definitely gonna throw something through the TV and be like, "Brittany was the one hanging those damn succulents on that wall and, like, literally redecorated that whole damn place. You didn't do nothing. You just stood around and said how stressed you are and you, and me." Ugh. And, yeah, he was like, "So glad that I did this place with Brittany." And then Nia's like, "Woo, Jackson Brittany's." Because he was like, "Thank you everyone for coming to Jackson Studio City." And Nia was like, "Jackson Brittany's." We need to get her up there. She knows how to do public speaking, being in pageants and whatnot. And then Zach is like, um, "Yeah, Brittany did all the work." Like, I'm like, these are what you want your friends to do." Like, when they know you're already stressed out and they know the type of person Jax is. But I thought that was funny. And then he's like, "But I love my wife and, like, I couldn't have done it without her." So at least he did say that. But then, of course they do. 6 months later. I swear to God, we have been blessed with tragedy in this whole year of Bravo, because let's just go down the line real quick. We got Scandival, which tipped it all off with the picking of the cameras back up for scandal and drama that's worth it, that we need to fit in and squeeze in at the end. Then right after, we get Kyle and Maurizio separating. Cameras pick back up for that. Then we get Carl and Lindsay calling off the engagement. Cameras pick back up for that. Then we get this. We get Jesse and Michelle, definitely just really, like, they are separated, but it's just straight up like we're getting divorce papers. So they are getting divorced. And we get Jax and Brittany separating. So they are throwing up all the TMZ little videos and all the articles. And I'm like, God, this feels like so long ago, because it was all in, like, the winter time. And I'm like, God, we're like, you know, practically in June at this point. Not really, actually. We're at the beginning of June. Um, and we're just, like, seeing all this now, but we've already lived it. That's why it's, like, hard to, like, be like, "Oh, yeah, been there, done that. We already know." Um, but we see Michelle going over. So we obviously know that Jesse stayed in the house. So I thought they owned this house. They rent it, which I don't understand, because they're both real estate agents. And I find it weird when people do real estate, or, like, they do mortgages for a living and they don't own a home. I find that so odd. But I bet it's because of where Jesse wanted to live. Like, he probably fought, first of all, tooth and nail for, like, trying to get Michelle to leave and he could stay, because he loves being down the street from that, chateau place, that hotel that's really famous. And I just feel like he loves and always talked about him being there. And, he, obviously is staying in the house, and she comes back over with the daughter, and they put her in the kitchen so they can have a fight, which is kind of awkward. And she's just like, "I moved out. I'm renting a place. I still gave you rent for a little bit for this place." She's like, "But now we just need to sign these divorce papers so we can be divorced and done." And then he's like, "Well, I just need to get, like, an attorney and do it the right way." And it's just like, she's just like, "No, I don't care. Please sign it. I just want to be done with you." And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is rough." And then the fact that the daughter, I mean, she's like 3, but still, I feel like she, like, understands that they're fighting. And God knows how much fighting she had to endure living in the house with them. And I'm just like, this is sad. And then they're talking about, because they have to split. their clients because they did real estate together. So I was like to my husband, I was like, all right, so like how are they going to split these leads or these clients? Like how does that work? And he's like, all right, so example, if Michelle is sending one of these scandalous pictures to a person to get a lead and they become her client, that's her client. She could keep that client. And I'm like, okay, that was good. Because apparently that's happening. Her sending sexy photos and her going out on all these late night dates with these men as an actor, producer, whatever. We still will never know the name. I'm dying to know who it was or slash is. Um, she just wants him to sign these papers so they can get to stepping. But then we see Janet had the baby, 8 pounds, 13 ounces. His name is Cameron. And then all the ladies are just coming over for a little ladies' night. So we get Brittany walking in, and everyone's just like, how are you doing? Because I feel like Brittany's sad, and Michelle's just like, I'm so happy I'm gone that I don't care. No, I'm not sad. Let's all just be sad for Brittany. And Brittany's like, I just had to leave, and he wouldn't leave. So Nia's like, was there like a tipping point that just set it over the edge? And she said, that he was just like screaming one day, and I was just like, what am I doing here? And she just got Cruise, hightailed it out of there and renting an Airbnb. And she's like, I just really think like he thought I wouldn't leave. And obviously he is a narcissist because if it's not working, like maybe please remove yourself from the house so she can stay with Cruz and keep it like normal. Cause I bet she kind of has Cruz more. So it's like, why should Cruz have to leave his house? Like, you're the problem. You need to freaking leave. So she said, I've just put up with his behavior for so long. And I even like begged and persuaded my family, I feel like, to like him, that I just feel so bad that this is happening. And I just feel so bad for Brittany, but I'm so glad that she got out of that house. And he seems like such like a jerk off. So then this is when they are making Brittany go into the house. I feel like this has to be hard. So they're making Jax and Brittany film a scene together, and she puts the suitcase right on the bed, which is kind of gross. But I was like, you know what? She's not sleeping in there anymore. So dirty that shit up for him with like airport dirty germs and floor germs and get all the germs all over the bed that you no longer reside in. So she's like, I just feel like you didn't think this was going to happen. And she's like, I mean, do you even want to fight for me? And he's like, yes. But isn't it nice being separated? And it's like, what's wrong with you? Why would you say that? Like, it's not nice being separated. You can say, like, it's nice that we're taking time apart to figure everything out because this is best for Cruz. Like, say something like that, but don't be like, isn't this nice? It's like a separation is not a vacation. It's like she will leave you. Like, I feel like he didn't think she'd do this. So it's like, she's already done something like, really dramatic. So don't think that she won't get a lawyer and get divorce papers. Because also, I was like, I hope she's getting those divorce papers ready after seeing him with that big titty lady, because she's paying for the house still. So she's paying for an Airbnb and this house. And it's been like 6 months because she said she moved out in January. It's now June. So it's like, you better get those divorce papers drawn up so that, and maybe the judge will be like, get the heck out, Jack. So you need to give the house to Brittany. Or like maybe hopefully they don't get into a Tom and Ariana scenario and have to go to court because he doesn't want to sell the house. And I don't know, it'll just be like a mess. But Brittany is just like, I want you to do therapy. And he's like, I know. And I made an appointment. I'm going. And she's like, oh, okay. That's convenient because the cameras backed up. And I was like, yes, break that fourth wall down. And she said in like the confessional, she's like, I have asked and begged him for months. And even yesterday, I'm telling him, do therapy. And now all of a sudden, the camera is in his face. So he's making an appointment with the therapist. So then when they cut to his confessional, they're like, so did you go to therapy? And he's like, no, it was in Malibu and it was just too far. It's like, that's literally not that far from LA. And you know what? If therapy was 6 hours away in the car, you should go and drive to it if that means saving your marriage. But that's what I mean. He's a narcissist, can't even drive an hour away. You are so much better off, Brittany. And like I said, just get the divorce papers so you can stop paying for that house because that's so wasteful. She doesn't even live there. He's mooching off her. So she said, then she starts saying, you are so mean and all the things you've ever said to me, like you've called me fat. You said I don't even have any friends here. And I'm like, oh, dear God. And she's like, all these things. She's like, you're all nice right now because the cameras are here. But then when I leave, I'm going to get rage texts from you like Katie back in the day, Tequila Katie on Vanderpump Rules. And I'm like, I need to see these rage texts from Jax and I need to see these rage texts from Brittany. Or I mean, not Brittany, Lindsay, because Carl claims that too, that Lindsay would be like, go home and cry to mom, Carl, and like, you're a loser and blah, 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 and you do drugs. And I need to see all these rage texts. I mean, honestly, at this point, Carl and Brittany need to just put them out there because Carl has dumped Lindsay, so it doesn't matter. And Brittany is going to divorce Jack, so it doesn't matter. Like, I want to see them. Please, please put them on your Instagram story or something. Give us something. Oh, God. Like, he is just such a jerk off. And the fact that he's like, you have no friends, it's like, huh. At this point, your friends are her friends more so. Like, I feel like everyone's going to side with her for all of this. So you better buckle up and you're going to be shitted on. Honestly, you're going to be the one that's missing out. And I just am happy for her that she is away from this evil devil. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I was really hoping that while they were arguing, she really would have said, Rotten Hill. Because that would have been funny. And it's obviously blatantly obvious that they need to just get divorced. I mean, there's no point beating around the bush. Apparently, as I said at the beginning, he's alluding to Brittany having slept with someone for 4 months. Like, obviously, it's during their separation, though. So don't like try to act like she's cheating. But it's like, you're just mad that maybe she's moving on and you can't come to terms with that because you're a narcissist, because you're mental. Because all the other times you cheated on her, I guess that was okay and you were actually together. So now if she's moving on and you're not together, it's not okay. Ugh, I don't know, but hopefully they're going to do some damage control and get us a reunion. Like, Bravo Universe, Andy, everybody, get us a reunion for these people because it's just too messy to pass up on a reunion. As always, this was so fun, and you could find me on Instagram at Bravo T with the Stay at Home Mom, Spotify, and Apple. Till next time, see ya.